Greetings, Algo artisans. How we doing today? We got the FOMC yesterday, and of course took the day off because those are really tough days to trade. Unless you want to sit there and try to scalp and do a lot of gambling. I usually wait for events like that to go ahead and pass me by, and really wasn't worth trading until about 5 or 6 p.m. And that's like the Asian Open. Nice move up on the euro here, but uniquely we saw a gap this morning in Forex market, and that is not common, not unless it's like a Sunday open. And we're seeing a gap right now here on the euro, and it's due to the unemployment claims. So let's take a quick look at that, and then we're going to look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is showing us some things that are nice to look at here. Looking rather bullish. Don't want to say we're out of the woods with Bitcoin yet, but might be good. You know what? I'm not seeing anything special on unemployment claims. It's 220. Should have been 230,000, 220,000. So, you got a little bit less unemployment claims, indication of strength in the economy. I wonder why we're seeing this gap here in the FX market, a gap down. Let's see if the Japanese yen data came out, because that's really what's going to hold a lot of things up. I just refreshed. I'll do it one more time. This is Forex Factory, great website for looking at data. All this data is also on TradingView, by the way. You can get that there. Valley Girl, what's up? Valley Girl in the house, always good to have you. So that said, yeah, the BOJ pulse rate has not come out. So I'm probably not going to trade until that happens. And that's the thing about trading, is that 95% or more of trading is homework and stocking trades and just kind of waiting for the right opportunity. And unless you're really, really short-term scalping, which I'm known to do, messing around on a day like this is probably a little bit risky. Like I said, last night was a decent time to jump in. But let's remember what happened in the beginning of August with the Bank of Japan rate. This affected every single market, affected, stocks and crypto and, Forex. You remember all that stuff. So you gotta be real, real careful on these days. And, the reason that the Bank of Japan policy rate affected everything back then is because they did the first hikes in a number of decades. I think they did the first 2 hikes in 2 decades. It was the second hike, and they announced that they were going to go off of the carry trade, which is, we've talked about the carry trade at length. You can go back to some of our other videos to learn about that, or just even Google the Bank of Japan carry trade. Not going to go over it right now, but whatever's going on with their monetary policy is very important. They did say they're going to put that trade back on, the carry trade. They're going to continue that. But by the same token, if they do continue to hike the rates and defend the yen, you're going to see some pretty big things happen across the board in markets. But for now, definitely looking at the dollar getting stronger due to that strong employment news, despite the fact that there was a 50 basis point cut, or 50 basis point cut, 0.5% cut yesterday in the federal funds rate, and that's a big deal. It looks as if perhaps that cut was priced in, at least 25 basis points may have been priced in. There's a lot of talk about cutting in September, and even though the economic data came through a little bit hot, that talk continued, and of course we ended up seeing that cut. So, but interesting to see a gap. You rarely see a gap at FX markets outside of a Sunday open. So I'm wondering, what would cause that? Is there other news? There must have been something. Unemployment claims alone not being very, it might be the Philly Fed index, maybe. I mean, that's a bit stronger of a look than expected by quite a bit. I'm wondering if the Philly Fed manufacturing index, it's a medium impact event. It's not a high impact event, but this estimate is way pretty far off. Could be, who knows? But again, maybe markets are just really sensitive right now. Don't really have an answer for that. Let's jump over to Bitcoin, and we'll look at that the last few minutes here. And it does look like price is actually flipping bullish at this point. Remember, we are at a point in history, if you will, the post-halving doldrums, right? Those are typically, as is typical in a halving year, and we've shown charts on this, we've shown historical charts on this, It usually kind of slows down through the beginning of September, and then towards the end of September, beginning of October, Bitcoin tends to start going up. And I mean going up. I mean continuing upwards. And this to me looks just like a giant bull flag. You have this rather large move down right here due to the Bank of Japan stuff I was just talking about. So this kind of skewed the charts a little bit. But aside from that, you are looking at a pretty steady kind of pretty steady flag, if you will. Just a move down that is very probably guess you could say predictable or uniform, right? So with this kind of move, usually price will continue upwards once it is done. Right, so price is going up in a very, very strong manner going back to September of last year. Then you have price taking a break after the halving, which was in April, I believe. And this really started to kind of take a break after the ETF got announced. So the anticipation of the ETF and the ETF itself did push price up. Apparently, that's what we're assuming. There was a supply crunch due to that. And so you saw a lot of institutions getting into Bitcoin. That's the reason we're given that price went up, and it's reason enough. Makes sense. I'm one to not believe everything, but that would be the strongest reason I can imagine that price would do what it did. We never saw an all-time high before a halving. That's never happened. There have been 3 halvings. This is the 4th. So that was unique, and price did retrace at a typical amount after the halving itself. If you go from that all-time high, it came down about 35%, which is more or less typical. And now we're looking at whether or not price can break the highs, right? The all-time high at 74,000. Again, that occurred back in March prior to the halving. And then each of these highs matters as we're looking at what's going to happen with price. So the first, say, milestone I'm looking at in price. And this is a weekly chart. This is, each of these candles is 5 days long. I'm looking for price first to cross 65,000, which was this high right here back in August, right? Kind of late August. If price can break past that, then we might be seeing the beginning of, say the beginning of the end of this move down. It's not the key thing I'm looking for. The more key thing I'm looking for here is a break above 70, because if you look at this pattern, even with this kind of extended wick down due to the JPY, even with that, you still have a pretty clear downtrend. You have lower lows, lower highs, just like this, and then you have that extra low dip. And then you have this violation, like this kind of rotation right here, if you will. We have what was a downtrend, right? You would expect a lower low, but you didn't get it. You didn't get that lower low. It stopped short right here, and then it started to head up. So now if we can get price to violate even this high right here, even this most recent high right there, that would be okay. But I want to see it violate this high right here, which is at 70,200. If price for Bitcoin can get above that, and I would like to see a weekly candle close, then I would think that, okay, there's a very, very good chance that we're going to see price go ahead into a new all-time high, which I'm expecting to be around the mid 90,000. I know a lot of people think that Bitcoin is going to go to 150, 160, maybe 200,000, and it's possible. It could. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think we're going to see price have a hard time breaking 100,000. That's all I can say, is that price may have a pretty hard time breaking 100,000. But if it does break 100,000, then like sky's the limit. You could very easily see price head up to 160, 170, even to 200. It's possible. So I just think that there are some changes in the market that that's like another conversation altogether. I think with the institutions being in, they may be either purposefully or even inadvertently controlling the price of Bitcoin and keeping it from going to its true potential, because they're creating artificial demand and so on and so forth. All of that to say, it does look like we're almost to the point where I can say blue skies, but I'm not quite comfortable. Let's see what price does. We'll see if price is able to break 70,000. And once it does, then I think we have a decent indication that this post having drop down is done. And that would make sense. October tends to be Uptober, and that usually happens after a halving. So we're kind of right there in the zone to where it's a decent time to look at Bitcoin going up. So Awesome. Thank you all for joining. We're going to flip over to the private live lab. Zap the QR code in the top right-hand corner if you want to come to our website and learn about what we do. Simply put, we create traders. We also help traders build their own custom trading method. Whether you trade manually or whether you want to actually code that method, we can put you on the path to coding that method and having it trade for you while you're not sitting at the computer. In the meantime, either way, we help traders become profitable. We've got traders who are now trading their algos and they are winning. So come to algofactory.tech, trade your job, upgrade your life, and do not forget,
join us or die.